Alright, yo, what is up, friends and family? So, another video coming at you from the road. I'm actually on my way to go do something that I don't normally do, and I don't really even like doing. And maybe I'll get into it here, but a friend of mine shared an ad on OfferUp, and it was of a gentleman who is offering to sell a reptile tank. And a lot of times when you see that on these special listings on these sites that don't sell animals, obviously it's not just a tank. So it's a tank plus, and they'll say things like comes with everything included, and it's got a picture of a snake or a bearded dragon or Eurymastix. Now, living near to and working inside of Los Angeles, it's a busy city. There are a lot of these listings. If I wanted to, I could probably take in 2 to 3 animals a week and spend every day messaging these sellers and trying to get them into good homes, because the reality is most folks that keep reptiles outside of and don't really have the appropriate channels of selling them, they just tend to not know how to keep them that well. So I was talking to friends. I said, you know what, I could go pick it up. I could source some other friends who are responsible keepers and very likely find this snake a home. And I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's a female Brazilian rainbow boa. Should be adult. Looked a little undersized for an adult for the age they said that she was. But it's hard to tell just based on the photos, and who knows how long ago those photos were taken and what condition the snake is in. So my concern is that I don't want to show up and basically just pay money for a snake so that it could die in my care instead of this other guy's. And I know that sounds cold, but it's the reality of the situation with these animals when they're in this shape. So I at least want to go check it out and see if it's suitable for rehoming at all, or if it's on its last legs, or if it needs rehab or what. I really just don't know. But I got to thinking, and a friend said, you know, hey, thank you for going to go rescue this snake. And that's one of the words, and that's why I wanted to make this video. That's one of those hot button words that gets thrown around so much, and so many times in the reptile community, you'll see someone say, oh, I just rescued this ball python from my friend who wasn't keeping it right. That's not a rescue. That's taking it off of a friend. You know, hey, I get it. You're adopting it out. It's going from a place of low care to higher care. But that's not what we mean when we say rescue. And frankly, even what's happening here isn't really a rescue. The idea of rescuing animals specifically applied to shelter animals, these animals were going to be put down if they didn't get adopted by a pet owner or sent to a rescue, which is a facility that takes them and then holds them out to find adopters that until they can give it to a new home. So if I were to take this snake in, I wouldn't be rescuing it. I would be buying it. I'd be buying it. It's offered at a well below asking price for an adult female Brazilian rainbow boa. She doesn't look spectacular in terms of like a high red or anything like that, or anything that's really that valuable as a breeding animal. But that doesn't mean she doesn't have value, and it doesn't mean that I don't absolutely love this species and want to do everything I can when I see one in danger. So that's what's going on here, and that's why I'm actually going to go pick this up, and taking it from those situations and then holding on to it until it could find an adopter. That's how you rescue an animal. When you just take it for yourself, that's not rescuing. That's fostering, that's adopting. It's all kinds of good stuff. But the word rescue gets thrown around a lot, and it's really not that. You can see there's a tub behind me there. I'm gonna be setting that up too, so maybe I'll show you how I do that. I got everything I need with me in the car actually, so it's only gonna take like 5 minutes tops to get the cage ready to go for this intake. And it's totally a temporary cage. This looks like an animal that was housed in a aquarium with just a screen top lid on it. So something that was definitely in need of some high humidity. So even though that tub's not too big, it's I think it's like a 25 gallon or something like that. It's gonna do what I need it to do, which is give the snake room to soak. I'm going to be able to put a big water dish in there, give it room to hide, and most importantly for this animal, get into humidity. Who knows how long it's lived in those conditions, but really out here, the most humidity you're going to get in that situation, even if you're misting it every single day, is 50 to 65%, with spikes in the 70s and 80s. So this is an animal that really needs 100% humidity its whole life. Otherwise, you're just slowly wearing down on those kidneys. So that's what I want to do. I want to get this snake into a good home. If you're just looking for a pet, if you want to breed these animals, don't get a free snake. Okay. I'm excited to show you this snake. I'm excited to talk about it. It's a really cool, looks like a 56 Corvette. I love those old 50s Corvettes. That's super cool. Anyways, that's the joys of the California freeways. They're a little bumpy, as you can see, but there's cool stuff all the time. It's a beautiful day. The sun was shining. Now the clouds are coming over, and I'm driving out to the valley to pick up the snake and meet this guy and see what's going on. It's also a tough situation when someone's selling an animal and they don't know that they're essentially neglecting it. There's a California penal code that says if you don't, provide the animal with the environment that it needs to maintain proper health, then you could be guilty of a misdemeanor. And that's essentially what's going on here. It's also illegal to sell a sick animal. That's either an infraction or a misdemeanor, depending on how many violations you've had and a few other circumstances. But I did want to just check it out and see, because I'm not here to arrest the guy, nor could I do that. But I just want to check and make sure that the animal's okay and see if I can't get it in a good home. My hope is that the animal I saw in the picture, that the picture was taken recently. That the picture was taken recently, and that the animal is still in relatively good health. But we'll see. No way to know until I get there. Alrighty, stay with me.
So I picked up the snake, and I was actually quite relieved at how calm and gentle she was, but two, her overall condition seemed to be pretty okay. There's a few things I'm going to highlight: some rat bites. Later on, there's a clip when she's zooming around her little tub. Go ahead and turn the volume up because you're going to hear some wheezing. So there was some issues that I wanted to check out. So I did have some reservations, but all in all, I was really pleased with her condition. And this was the initial video I took when I first got her in.
Brown. You can see her face has got some stuck shed. She's a little bit gray and cloudy, but not bad. And there we go. We can see the scar on her from the rat. She's got a bit of a wheeze, but that could be from being in shed. But no mites, which is good. No striking, no defensive behavior, but then again, she was kept without heat, so I'm worried about that. The rat got her pretty good on the back. But we'll see. I'll keep her till she sheds out. Maybe twice, depending on how the first shed goes. We'll go from there. I got the gloves on just to be extra safe, because I've never met her before and I want to make it quick and easy. Yeah, she's got some wrinkles on her scales and some crispiness, so hopefully in a week or two she'll get this skin off and feel better, but I'm going to put her in a cage for now.
You can see here she's got it's actually retained shed. She wasn't in shed, it's retained shed. But this is the clip. If you turn the volume up, you'll hear some wheezing towards the end of the clip. So I'll just let you observe what I observed. So I gave her this fresh water. She had a big soaking bin, but I also gave her a little fresh water to drink from. A lot of times they'll like daily fresh water, so I was replacing that daily. And you could also see in some of these other clips here that the first layer of stuck shed came off. She got that off right away, and then a few days after that, she shed the second layer off as well too. So she actually shed it off pretty quickly, which was good. But the initial wheezing had me concerned. And then in some cases, you'll see her left eye is a little bulgy. And so I wanted to get that checked out by the vet before I did any feeding or anything like that. So I made a vet appointment. And look, I just took all these videos because she was just so sweet and actually kind of cute. But I did get her to the vet, and it turned out the vet said everything was okay. He thought that the eye was just some retained shed. So we're waiting on one more shed until then. So it's been a few weeks at the time of this recording. So she should be going into shed any day now. And then I really want to see and make sure that eye cap is smaller. And here's just kind of an overall look just at the color difference and her body a lot brighter. This is just after just about 3 or 4 days in 100% humidity. And you could see the shed all on the ground there and around her. And that's the complete retained shed plus the actual shed. And this is her in her little tub, which, as you can see, is really small for her. So I'm not keeping her in that very long. This is at the vet's office. It was nice because I could just transport her in it, which is kind of the idea. She could live in it, she could get transported in it, and then I'll upgrade her in just a day or so. And look, there's not much going on in this video, but just one other thing I wanted to point out about the body condition of this snake. So she got a pretty clean bill of health. The wheezing was nothing. It was just the shed, and sure enough, I can't hear it anymore, so I'm not too worried about that. But just the body condition is probably the most pressing thing right now. This is what an obese Brazilian rainbow boa looks like. So if you didn't notice that before, she's definitely got some weight to her. She's right around 3,000 grams, so she's a big girl. She's not too long either. She's allegedly 9 years old and just right around 5 feet. So not a very long Brazilian rainbow boa, but she's definitely got the size to her. And this was the first ever feeding attempt, so I'm just giving her avian prey as often as possible because it's much leaner. So allegedly she'd never had live or nothing but live prey her whole life. So as is usually the case, let me scoot a little closer here. As is usually the case, I find that most snakes will take frozen thawed prey. It's just a matter of them being hungry and having the right husbandry technique. So I offered her the chick for a little bit, and I don't think she was exactly prepared for it. So it took me a second. You'll see me play with it just a little bit, but then once I get her attention in just a moment here, you'll see she really switches on and figures out what's going on, and she takes it. Spoiler alert. I don't usually tease the food like this, but if she's only used to eating live, then the food usually fights back a little, so I wanted to shake it up just a little to kind of help get her in the right headspace. Probably not necessary, but she figured it out. And so then after she took her first meal, I went ahead the next day and then moved her into this big Christmas tree tote that I had set up. It's actually got a UV light on top and halogen bulb. Excuse me, not a halogen, it's a tungsten filament bulb. So she's getting great heat and light. There's a heat mat underneath the tank to keep the ambient temps up and to help provide a nighttime hotspot. These guys are tropical snakes. They do need that nighttime heat. But here she is really enjoying her upgraded size. And I can't say enough about Christmas tree totes and totes in general for humidity-loving species. They make such easy DIY enclosures, typically good for temporary housing. Long-term, I'd want to give her something bigger with climbing exercise and exercise space, but this will do for the interim, and it's bigger than the cage she was in. In fact, I'll show you a picture of the cage she was in. Yeah, so those were the conditions she was in. She had that corner water bowl, which is pretty good, but otherwise it was a pretty sparse cage. I just had that half log that she currently has in this one too. I went ahead and kept the decor the same, and here she is looking for more food. I got some more video of some other feeds, so I did give her a mouse. I figure a mouse is better than a rat, but again, I'm trying to feed her small meals and keep her metabolism going so she doesn't get into a state of rest. But the meals aren't going to be big because I don't want her to put on weight. What I want is to just keep her metabolism going, but the meals are not big enough to put on weight. So it's actually like eating at a deficit, so to speak. And I actually spoke to someone who studies a lot of reptile nutrition, and they actually recommended that I go ahead and up the size of the meals just a little bit more so that the body is used to getting the nutrients it needs, but to incorporate a lot more exercise. So I'm going to have to do that as well. Now, she's had a couple more meals too, and is really doing good with eating. Here she is eating another chick. She came out of the water, and she likes to do it this way. I don't know. I don't know why, but rainbow boas are super dwarf red anaconda, so feeding them in the water is always fun for me. And this one was awesome because now she's really grabbing the prey and really wrapping it hard, and I just love how she just kind of flew out of the water bowl. And the only reason I pick her up and pull her out of it here is to just to put the lid back on the bowl, because it's also a nice little humid retreat for her like that, and it helps make her feel isolated when there's a lid to the water bowl. But this was just a great little feeding interaction, and I just thought it was so cute, in a snake sort of way. But big, beautiful reptile right here. But that's it, folks. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in adopting the snake, too bad. I got a home lined up for it already. But thank you for your interest. I wanted to share with you, I named her Ellie after the girl from Last of Us because she's got some amazing genetics to have survived the conditions she was in. Because most Brazilian rainbow boas would die in that case. So if you like what you see, go ahead and give a like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll catch you on the next one.